Sticks and stones will break my bone. I always will be true. And when your mom's dead and gone, I'll sing this lullaby just for you. What becomes of all the little boys who never comb their hair? They're lined up all around the block on the nickel over there. You better bring a bucket. There's old in the pail. If you don't get my letter, then you'll know that I'm in jail. It's what becomes of all the little boys who never say their prayers. Sleeping like a baby on the nickel over there.
On June 28, 1979, Dr. Nathan Sack of Columbus, Ohio, a well-known surgeon, and his wife, had come to Atlanta for the annual convention of the Association of Nuclear Medicine. They were to be part of Atlanta's 131st homicide of 1979.
Give me your handbag. Hurry up.
Dr. Sack's murder was on the front page of the Atlanta daily newspapers and prominent in newspapers all over the country. But a short time later, a crime happened that barely was mentioned in one of Atlanta's newspapers. In all likelihood, the boy was already dead when he was brought to this spot. He was 14 years old. The second boy was last seen on his way to a skating rink. He too was 14 years old. This was the beginning of a case that was to be one of the most baffling in the crime annals of the United States. And before the ordeal had ended, a city would go crazy. And no one who touched the case in any way would ever be the same again. The Atlanta child murders had begun.
Do you realize the increase in homicides this year?
No, I'm afraid I don't, but I'm quite sure you do.
We've had 231 homicides, a 61% increase over 1978.
I hope you realize that when you print stories like that, how much you hurt Atlanta. One of our main sources of revenue is the convention trade.
The city is 66% black, and we are going to have a proportionate number of black officers, whether you like it or not.
Help! Somebody got to come and help!
Would you like to play?
Well, I don't have any money.
Well, I'll stake you.
Gee, thanks, sir.
Another boy was found. His name was Leroy Millard James. He was 14.
How long has he been gone?
He left here about 4:30.
All right, I'll go look for him. Don't worry.
He just went to do an errand, and he disappeared. And somebody must know something. A young boy just doesn't drop off the face of the earth.
Howard, what's he turn that up, please?
You have a great deal of Atlanta out there. They want to know your feelings.
Thank you.
I can't help wondering if they're working as hard as they would if it were a white child from a middle-class background. Would there have been a better chance of saving him if they'd done something right away?
I don't know.
This is a place where black
babies hunted down and killed like animals.
Oh, shake it, but don't break it. Shake it, but don't break it. Shake it, but don't break it.
There are kids being murdered all over the streets of Atlanta. But they don't matter because the department doesn't make any points if it solves their murders, does it?
One more word like that, Mike, and I'm gonna ask you for your badge. Jake, go ask him back. I'd rather turn him my own badge.
Jake, somebody's got to stop these crimes against children. Or there's no telling where it will end.
And what are you saying to the police force?
I am advising them, I am pleading with them to concentrate their efforts on this geographic pattern and to put stakeouts here, 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 and here in order to help prevent the next murder.
It was the morning of LaTonya Wilson's 7th birthday. As unbelievable as it may seem, somebody actually removed the window pane closest to the lock, reached through, opened the lock, then opened the door and stepped in. That person picked her out of her bed, where she was sleeping next to her sister, then walked past her brother, who was sleeping in the next bed, and took her out of the house.
You want us to make a statement that there's a Jack the Ripper killing the poor black children of Atlanta? But I don't believe that.
We got ourselves a black mayor. We got ourselves a black commissioner of public safety. Black councilmen. We got everything black from top to bottom. We got everything but protection for our black children.
If you want to kill off a race, the first thing you must do is kill the seed. Now, the whole thing here in Atlanta is the first step in a plan toward genocide.
No. They didn't steal my baby! They didn't steal my baby! Papa has disappeared! Papa!
It's a green carpet fiber. It's very unusual because the cross-section of the fiber shows a trilobular design with one short leg. Trilobular design.
Well, I'll still settle for fingerprints, motive, old-fashioned things like that.
What do you want to bet when we find the murderer? He's got a green carpet in his house.
The 8-year-old boy has been identified by dental records as Christopher Richardson, son of Selena Cobb, who lives at 8624 Martin Luther King.
So sorry, Miss Cobb. Could you tell us how you feel?
Get out! Get out!
You don't have no more heart than the concussions you brought in here.
What's your name?
Now, when I'm finding my
Just trying to show you what's happening.
Get out! Get out of my house! Come on, get out! Get out of here!
By mid-March, the pattern of deaths changed again. Bodies were being dumped into the river.
The body was clad in red bathing-type shorts. Could have been drowning. But I think we have to mark this mechanism unknown.
What am I charged with, man?
You're a suspect in the case of the missing and murdered children, Chef.
You guys are so desperate for a suspect that it's affecting your faculties. And if I wasn't a veteran of 18 years on the police force, I'd be scared as hell right now. Because I know how easily a case can be made to work if there's a need for it.
Look, I'm just warning you, Chef. You just stay out of our way. Get on out the case.
We had staked out bridges in DeKalb, Fulton, and Cobb counties.
I heard a splash.
A loud splash. Is there a car on the bridge?
I can't see it from where I'm at.
That splash was to change the course of the Atlanta murders and perhaps American jurisprudence forever.
Let's see your identification. Wayne Williams.
That's right.
Did you throw a body into the river?
Are you crazy?
Would you get out of the car, please?
Come on.
Come on.
Get out.
Yes, what is it?
Come on.
Step back
Walk
here,
back
will you,
there.
please? Would you move back there?
Had we come to the end of what we were looking for 2 years? Was this the man who choked the life out of, shot, bludgeoned and drowned 28 human beings? Or was it someone caught in the net of hysteria and the need to bring an end to Atlanta's nightmare?
You heard a splash. Now, could it have been a beaver? There are a lot of beavers around here. They splash their tails in the water. It could sound like a body.
I know the difference between a beaver splashing his tail and the sound of a body.
You do? How?
I used to be a lifeguard.
This little incident on the bridge here is going to be the talk of the town, the talk of the country. I just hope we're not starting an avalanche of something we can't stop based on a splash. Somebody throwing a body off a bridge that nobody has seen, and the murderer getting back into a station wagon that nobody saw stop.
You got that after me about that. I don't know anything about it. That's another buddy. I don't know anything about that. You got the point. You should put on that side.
Wayne!
I have a warrant for your arrest.
Mr. Slayton, just 8 days ago, you said you had insufficient evidence to arrest Wayne Williams.
I did.
What made you change your mind?
I finally found I couldn't corroborate Williams' story that he had crossed the bridge at 3 in the morning to visit a woman who he was going to interview for a musical audition.
But now, in your own words, you said you might have a good case for lying, but not for murder.
Yes, sir. What about it? Now, I've gone over the fiber evidence with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and Larry Peterson, and I found it's much more substantial than I had believed. And there's something else. There's a great possibility if we don't move on this, Williams may leave the country.
Mr. Slayton, I hate to ask this question. I think you're one of the finest officials this state's ever had. But there are persistent reports that pressure to prosecute Wayne Williams was brought on you at a meeting at the Capitol.
I've been in office for 8 years. If I had visited the governor's mansion, there would not have been any such pressure that I would have recognized. There were no threats. There were no ultimatums, no deadlines.
All right, sir. Can you elaborate exactly what
Al Binder joined the defense for Wayne Williams. He was one of the best criminal lawyers in the South. In the courtroom, he sometimes affected the talk and dress of a hick. But Al Binder is no hick.
I want you to join a defense team in an advisory capacity. I understand you know more about the Atlanta murder than anybody else.
Well, what are you paying?
Nothing.
That's an attractive offer.
Well, what the hell do you think I'm getting?
I can imagine. One thing that makes it almost irresistible is what the expression on the faces of the Atlanta police force might be if they discover that Detlinger is part of the Wayne Williams defense team. Thank you. I have a problem, though. I'm not so sure Wayne Williams is innocent. I could be a dangerous man to have around. I mean, while I'm investigating the case, I could come up with evidence that says he's guilty.
Chance I ought to take.
May I ask why you're taking the case?
Well, I'm a strange specimen. Not only am I a Mississippi Jew, but I've become accepted by the good old boys as one of their own. Things are going too smoothly for me at the moment. I'm accepted, I'm making money. I miss the good old days when the Ku Klux Klan was burning my house and shooting at my car. Now, you know what Wayne Williams is up against. Federal Bureau of Investigation, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Atlanta Police Force, newspapers. And who has he got to protect him? Me. That isn't enough to make the old adrenaline go and feel alive again. Nothing is.
I want you to think back to Friday, January 2nd, 1981. Do you recall being in Atlanta?
Yes, I do. My mother and I went down to the Royal Mattress Company. That's just on the other side of the Stewart Lakewood Shopping Center.
And who did you see, if anybody, in that area?
I saw a man and a boy about 20 foot from me, right at the old Sears outlet there.
And were they talking?
Yes, sir.
And what else did you observe?
The man was leaning up against the wall.
Uh-huh.
And I noticed on his face is what really caught me, because I was just standing around there, no one else around. And it looked like he had 2 scratches that was just beginning to heal up on his face.
On his face?
Uh,
Now, did you see them again?
They started walking over to a green car.
I'll show you a photograph marked LG21. Now, have you seen the person in that photograph before?
It looks to be the same boy I saw that day.
I ask you to look around the courtroom and see if you see that adult you saw with the young child.
Yes, sir.
Would you point in his direction, please?
That gentleman sitting right over there. The one with the glasses.
All right, young man. You don't mind me calling you young man, do you?
No.
You're young, aren't you? How old are you?
15.
Yeah. Let me ask you if you saw one of the Atlanta children that was murdered, Lubigita, on the first weekend of January, 1981.
Yes, sir.
Did you see someone with him?
Yes, sir. I seen Lubigita get in a car with him.
Are you referring to the defendant on trial over here?
Yes, sir.
Did you see this person later?
Yes, sir. He asked me if I wanted a job. Then he asked me would I go with him.
Did you do that?
Yeah, I got in the car with him. He asked me if I had any money. I said, no, sir. Then he felt down my pocket. He wasn't really filling my pocket. He was filling me. Then he gave me $2, and he drove me down to Pickfair Street.
What was around there?
Woods, that's all.
What happened then?
Then he said he had to go to the trunk for something. So I jumped out and ran.
This man that rode you out there and fondled you, as you indicated, and gave you $2. Is that the same man that you identified in court here, Wayne Williams?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Binder?
Tell me, what kind of weather was it that day you saw him?
I don't remember that.
Oh, you don't remember that?
Uh-uh.
All right, but you do remember the man you saw in that car?
I remember the face. I can't forget his face.
Oh, you can't forget it?
Uh-uh.
Did they tell you something good would happen to you if you'd remember his face?
I remember the face. I wake up in dreams at night thinking about his face.
You do?
That's right. It makes me sick.
How many times have you been convicted of stealing?
I don't want to answer that question.
Oh, you'll answer it, son. You'll answer it.
Objection. You can't impeach someone with his own testimony.
I can ask a witness anything if it's in his knowledge.
No, sir, you can't. He's a juvenile. There would not be a record of his conviction.
Would you approach the bench? Your Honor, the prosecution is trying to paint this young man as a sweet little boy. Now, I want to say for the record that my investigation of the matter shows that this boy is a hoodlum, has been arrested over 10 times minimum, and he's constantly in trouble with the law.
You have to have an actual conviction. He doesn't have a conviction, so he can't use it for impeachment.
Your Honor, you shouldn't limit us to cross-examining this crucial witness. Let us know what he really is.
The court rules that the board doesn't want to answer general questions about stealing. And that is interpreted by the court as his invocation of his right against self-incrimination. Objection sustained.
Did you talk to anybody about any money for testifying in this case?
No.
Now, come on! Didn't you talk to somebody about some money for testifying?
I just heard somebody talking about it, that's all.
Oh, you heard somebody talking about it?
That's right.
What'd they tell you?
Some man said he was going to give me something.
To come up here and testify?
Not me.
Well, who was he going to give it to?
I don't know.
Were you hoping he'd give it to you?
I don't care nothing about no money.
Oh, you don't?
That's right. I'm just here to do my job, and that's to tell you the truth.
They told you to say that on the witness stand to tell the truth?
That's right.
Now, did you tell Mr. Detlinger today, right outside this courtroom, that you didn't even know Wayne Williams?
Huh?
Don't you remember that?
Uh-uh.
And aren't you the young man that, when you first was interrogated about this, identified the men you saw with Luby Gita as being 6'2" and about 180 pounds? You don't remember that?
No.
That's all.
Did you know Nathaniel Cater?
Yes, I did.
Did you know him by nickname also?
I knew him as Silky.
How did you know him?
I knew him because we worked together through a labor pool right down the street.
Did you have occasion to see Nathaniel Cater on the Thursday night before he was pulled from the river?
I saw Nathaniel Cater coming out to the Alto Theater.
Was anybody with him?
There was a man with Silky, and there were two behind him.
How would you characterize them?
Well, the two behind him were dressed as women, but they appeared to be men because they didn't have any curves or anything like a woman. And the one with Silky, they were holding hands.
Did you get a good look at this fella that was holding hands with Silky?
Yes.
Now, I want you to look around the courtroom and tell us whether or not you see this person in the courtroom.
Yes, I do.
Point him out.
Sitting right there.
He's with you.
Now, when you saw Silky that night, was anybody with you?
No, just me.
Now, you mentioned there were two people behind Silky. Did you know them?
No, I didn't.
Did you talk to them?
They just kept walking.
When you say Silky was holding hands with Mr. Williams, what are you trying to imply?
I'm not trying to imply nothing.
Were you trying to imply they were homosexuals?
I'm trying to tell the jury they were holding hands.
Now, you saw Mr. Williams' picture in the paper. You didn't tell anybody about it, the law enforcement officers. Did you feel that Mr. Williams had something to do with Mr. Cater?
Yes.
And you know he's been on trial here since December 28th, and we've been trying this case for 5 weeks or more?
Right.
And you didn't come forward and tell anybody that you knew anything bad about Mr. Williams during that entire time?
No.
Have you heard that there is a substantial reward involved in this case?
I heard about it.
And you wouldn't turn down any of that reward, would you?
Beg your pardon?
If they offer you money, you wouldn't turn it down.
Would nobody turn down money?
Are you the same Bobby Lee Henry that was arrested and convicted for larceny?
Yes.
Are you the same Bobby Lee Henry that was convicted for disturbing the public peace?
Right.
Are you the same Bobby Lee Henry that was arrested at East Point?
Yes.
And are you the same Bobby Lee Henry that was last arrested on 7th January, 1978?
I don't know. Could be. I've been in jail lots of times.
Lots of times?
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's all.
You didn't come forward about this, did you?
No.
Why not?
I didn't want to get involved in it.
And how is it you're down here today?
The detective found me, you know. He subpoenaed me to be here. He asked me what I knew about it. I got it off my chest. I told.
Thank you.
Homosexuality became such an issue that later in the case, Binder felt compelled to elicit this testimony from a singer named Gwendolyn Marie Harden.
You know the defendant, Wayne Williams?
Yes, I do.
Tell them how long you've known Wayne Williams.
About 11 years.
Could you tell me whether he was serious about his music business?
Oh, he was very serious.
Little lady, I don't want to be personal with you, but I have to be. Tell this jury whether or not you and Wayne Williams were close friends, romantically inclined, or whatever.
All of them.
Did he ever kiss you?
Yes, he did.
Did you tell the jury whether you had affection for him?
Yes, I did.
Have you ever been intimate with him? Have you had sex with him?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Would you give us your name, please?
Gilbert Bain.
Mr. Bainham, did you know Larry Rogers?
Yes.
Where was the last time you saw him?
It was at George's Food Service.
And what happened?
Well, Larry came up to me and he said, Breeze. That's my nickname. Cool Breeze. He said, I want to join. He said, me and my buddy over there, you know.
Now, did you see his friend?
His friend was sitting in the car. He said, that's my buddy. I said, man, you ain't trying to bust me, is you? He said, no. I said, okay, come on. You don't want number one joint? You see, I don't call it a joint, I call it herb. So, he got out the dollar. I said, come on. I took him. And we went to the white folks, and the white folks gave him the joint.
Now, do you see the person in the courtroom that you saw with Larry Rogers?
That gentleman right over there.
Your witness.
You say your name is Cool Breeze?
That's what they call me.
When you saw the man you say you saw, what kind of car was he in?
It was a Nova Firebird something.
What color was it?
A two-tone color.
Could it have been black on top and red on the bottom?
Can't say.
Was it green?
It might have been.
Could have been green. Could it have been red?
Yeah.
Could have been red. Might have been either one of those two colors.
Is them the ones you choose? I don't know.
I'll just take any version I want to.
Yeah, you the man. I'm just here talking to you.
Now, when you saw Wayne with Larry Rogers, and then they announced that Larry Rogers was dead, you didn't tell anyone, did you?
I didn't come forward because I didn't think that they would believe me. See, I had done some crimes before.
Did you tell this jury what kind of crimes you were convicted for?
Gambling.
I see. What else?
Driving without a license.
All right, what else?
Drugs.
Did you ever serve any time?
A few times.
Were you ever in a hospital?
I had to go to one once to kick.
Kick?
You know, to kick the habit.
Oh, to get rid of your habit.
Right.
I see. Were you on something stronger than marijuana then?
Yep.
What were you doing? Were you shooting speed or something?
Nope.
Well, what was it?
Boy.
Heroin?
That's it.
You smoke a joint now?
Yeah.
Sure you do. I smoke dope. Makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Hey, it's better than worrying.
Well, sure it is. Smoke any before you came up here today? A little bit?
I had a coffee and herb.
Had a little coffee, had a little herb. Right on. Oh, yeah. Had old herb, and you put it in your mouth, and it took a puff, and it made you feel good, didn't it?
I wish I had 2,700,000 of them.
Thank you very much. That's all, Your Honor.
Mr. Tolan, where do you work?
Southern Ambulance Service.
Did you know Wayne Williams during this period?
Yeah, I met him at the ambulance service.
Now, did you ever have an occasion to see him exhibit his strength?
Yes, sir, we got into scuffles at times.
Oh, you look to be a pretty big fella. Tell us how much you weigh and how tall you are.
6'1", 260 pounds.
Now, what would you say as far as Williams' strength?
For a man his size, he was far above average strength, I would say. That little guy could handle himself pretty good.
Now, did he ever confide in you his feelings towards certain elements of his race?
He asked me, had I ever considered how many niggers he could eliminate by killing one nigger child? By eliminating that child couldn't reproduce, and his children couldn't reproduce, and so forth. Along those lines.
That's all.
Binder. Now, you talked a lot about Wayne's attitude toward people of his race. When you addressed him, did you always address him respectfully?
No, sir, I never always addressed Wayne respectfully.
And you know what words are offensive to black people, don't you?
I know a lot of them.
Let the record reflect that you are a member of the Caucasian or white race, aren't you?
I appear to be, yes, sir.
You remember ever being in his house?
Yes, sir.
You remember picking him up in front of his mother in a bear hug and holding him tight?
I'm not going to deny it, but I don't remember.
That's the fact that you shamed him in front of his mother. He couldn't get away from you, and you was holding him in a bear hug right there in front of his own mother.
I don't remember it.
Are you, in your size and the state of your strength, are you afraid of Wayne Williams?
I'm not afraid of anybody. No, sir, I'm not afraid of Wayne Williams either.
You know he's no match for you in strength. Now, isn't that the truth?
I personally don't think he could be, no, sir.
Were you and Wayne Williams good friends on one occasion?
Yes, we were.
Now, can you tell me, from having seen him on numerous occasions and talking to him, if he had any particular hatred toward any particular segment of his race?
Just the poor kids.
Did you have an occasion to discuss this with Wayne? About his picking on kids when you passed some on the street?
Yes.
Tell us about that conversation.
We were passing by some kids on the street who were up very late, and he said something to them. And I asked him, what in the world is wrong with you? He said, they need to be off the street. So I said, I know you don't like kids like that, but one day you're going to keep messing with these children and they're going to jump on you and beat you up. His reply was, they could not beat me up because I could knock them out.
Now, did he indicate how he could knock them out?
He said all you need to do is just take some part of your neck and press against it, and a person could be knocked out within seconds.
Now, did he put his hand to his throat like you did just now?
Yes.
Now, I want to go back to the so-called bridge incident. Did Wayne come and see you?
Yes.
What happened?
I said, Wayne, I go along with anything else, but just give me a reason why you be on the bridge. He said, don't worry about it, because he was going to sue. He was going to sue the news media and stuff, and he'd get money. So I said, well, you are playing a game with people's lives. I said, Wayne, will you confess before you get hurt? I said, if they get enough evidence on you before you get hurt, will you confess? And Wayne Williams said, yes.
With friends like this, you don't need any enemies.
Yeah, well, she is a friend of mine. I want you to ask her something. I want you to ask her whether she feels I can kill anyone.
You don't want me to do that, Wayne?
Yes, I do.
I won't do it.
Well, now, you told me once in cases that you try, the defendant has the right to call his own shots because it's his life that's involved.
That's right.
Well, I want you to ask her whether she feels I can kill anyone.
Are you Wayne's friend?
I like Wayne.
When Wayne Williams was discovered at the bridge and then arrested, your friendship for him sort of passed away, didn't it?
No.
You really became ashamed that you even knew him, didn't you?
No. It's just that I don't think the people understand that Wayne is weird, and he has a split personality. I think he needs help.
Wayne, I really don't want to ask that question.
Look, I'm telling you to ask it.
Are you trying to intimate to this jury that you think Wayne Williams killed somebody? Is that what you're trying to tell this jury?
Do you actually want me to say?
Do you know he's killed somebody?
You know I don't.
Thank you.
Would you like to answer that question now?
What question?
I believe Mr. Binder's question was, do you think he killed somebody?
Are you asking me, do I think Wayne Williams killed somebody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I do. I really feel that Wayne Williams killed somebody. And I'm sorry.
My heart bled for Homer and Fay Williams. For over 40 years, they had been school teachers. Now they were shunned by even their closest friends.
How you do?
BCD?
Mr. Williams, what kind of interest did Wayne develop when he was 12 or 14 years old?
Wayne built his own radio station down in the basement when he was 14.
Did you have any financial part in that?
Wayne had put his heart, time. I had put my money into it. My wife had put her money into it. I bought a lot of equipment. So as a result of that, we had to go bankrupt.
Mr. Williams, did you bear any ill feeling or hard feeling toward your son over that?
No, not at all. If I had it to do over, I'd do it again.
Did you consider your son a failure?
No. Young as Wayne was, I certainly couldn't consider him a failure.
Now, what is the state of Mrs. Williams' health?
She had a radical mastectomy. She has cancer. She still is on chemotherapy.
When Mrs. Williams home from the hospital after surgery, was she confined to the house for any length of time?
Yes.
Now, are there any parts of the house to which she does not have access?
No.
Possible that Wayne could have been hurting or killing children in your house and you and Mrs. Williams not have known about it?
I don't believe my son would hurt anyone. But it would not be possible with my wife at home all the time with her illness. No, sir.
Now, the prosecution at one point has suggested that perhaps Wayne chloroformed children in your house. Did Wayne keep any strange or unusual chemicals in your house, such as chloroform?
No. I wouldn't allow that in my home.
I was a teacher in the Atlanta public school system.
Would you be kind enough to tell us how many years did you teach in this city?
32 years.
Would it embarrass you to tell the jury how old you were when Wayne was born?
41.
Now, when Wayne was born, would you tell a jury whether or not he was a planned child?
He wasn't planned. He was our miracle child.
Now tell the jury, what did you understand your son was going to do in the music business?
Well, he wanted to work with young people because the black music field was playing out, and he felt like that new talent needed to be introduced.
Now, in those telephone calls you took, would there always be calls from young men, or were there any calls from women?
I took calls from young, old, boys, girls, black and white, inquiring about his group.
Did they ever leave their telephone numbers if Wayne wasn't there?
I remember a young lady calling, wanting to set up an appointment to have an audition.
You remember her name?
Gerald Johnson. The woman my son went looking for the night they say that he threw a body into the water.
Did she give you her telephone number?
Yes, she did. And I wrote it down on a piece of paper and gave it to Wayne.
Was Wayne a problem child in any way?
No.
Have you ever witnessed your son commit any type of violent act whatsoever?
Never.
Now, you've heard the names of Nathaniel Cater and Jimmy Ray Payne that your son is charged with murder. Have you ever seen or heard the names of those individuals regarding your son?
No, I have not. And may I say something to add to that, if it's permissible?
Yes, ma'am.
Having worked in this community for about 32 years, I am a lover of children. I was very grieved for their parents. It hurt me, just like it hurt other people. But deep down in my heart, I don't think those children were killed by any young person. Like so.
Did you visit Wayne in his home from time to time?
Yes, sir.
Will you tell us, if anything, what happened between Wayne Williams and his mother and father?
Wayne asked his dad to write him a check for something. His dad wouldn't sign the check. So Wayne started cussing, started trying to get him and push him. And when his mother was trying to keep him away from his dad, pushed her out of the way and he slapped her.
He slapped his mother?
Yeah. And he jumped on top of his dad or something. He was choking him, trying to stop him.
He had his hands on his daddy's throat?
Yeah.
What happened then?
That's when his daddy went for his shotgun. Came back in there and started cussing. Said something like...
Who started cursing?
Wayne.
What did his daddy do?
Daddy was pointing a gun at him. Said he'd shoot his head off.
Did you ever have any problem with Sheldon Kemp that you can recall?
Yes.
What was it?
Well, it was after Wayne had asked Sheldon to leave the group.
Why did he ask him to leave the group?
Well, he had asked my husband and me that if he was going to continue singing, he needed a mini bike, and we had to come up with it right away.
What did you say to him?
Well, I explained to him that Wayne didn't have money, that all money that had been invested in the effort had come from us. So he proceeded to get very indignant with me, and I asked him to leave.
Do you know of any knockdown, drag-out fight that Wayne ever had with his daddy?
No.
Were you ever so seriously at odds with one another that it got to be a huge family trauma or something?
No.
No, but at times they argued and you argued.
Of course, it's a normal family. And I resent them bringing in somebody like Sheldon Kemp, who we were kind to and tried to help. And who would say those things about us. May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
Now, I want to tell you what you have accomplished and what you have not accomplished. Wayne's character has been dragged through the mud. My husband's character has been dragged through the mud. Mine has been dragged. In fact, they have ruined the Williams family, and they continue to lie and lie, but they have not produced evidence that my son is a killer.
Now, Wayne, you don't mind me calling you Wayne, do you?
No.
We've been friends over these last few months, haven't we?
That's right.
I want you to speak out because this is your day in court. I want the jury to hear you.
I'm scared.
Now, somewhere or another during this trial, it's dawned on you that they have tried to depict you as a person who doesn't like poor people. You got that, didn't you?
Yeah, I heard that.
Now, Wayne, look at the jury and tell me, do you have anything in your heart against poor people?
Look, I'm poor myself. I didn't even have enough money to pay you.
Look at the jury and tell me whether or not you are a homosexual or have any sexual hang-ups.
Now, there ain't no way that I'm no homosexual. No,
All right.
Now, I mean, I put it like this. I don't have no grudge against them. I mean, just as long as they keep their hands to themselves and stay away from me, I'm all right. Hey, but just don't come near me.
All right. Now, the boy was up here and testified that you was feeling it.
Yeah, well, he's a barefaced liar.
And there was someone come up here and said they saw you and Mr. Cater holding hands downtown just shortly before he died.
Now, I ain't been holding hands with no man.
You realize that you were charged with the murder of two individuals, Mr. Cater and Mr. Payne?
Yes, I do.
Now, tell the jury, Wayne, did you ever know either of these two men?
I don't know them, and I have never seen them in my life.
Have you ever taken your hands and put them around anybody's neck and choked them to death?
Never.
Have you ever taken a knife in your hand and put that knife into somebody else's body?
No.
Have you ever taken a rope and put that rope around somebody's neck and squeezed them to death?
No, sir.
Do you know the deceased Master Jojo Bell?
No.
Do you know Patrick Baltazar?
No, I didn't.
If I went down the list of every young person of the 10 patterns the judge let in, including Nathaniel Cater and Mr. Payne, would your answer be the same?
Look, I haven't killed anybody.
Now, Wayne, before I turn you over to the prosecution for cross-examination, is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to say to this jury?
Look, I know that I have not done anything wrong. That's all.
Go witness.
Why did you select the name Gemini for your group?
Well, it's my birthday.
Or does it have another significance?
Well, every birth date has a significance. I mean, if you believe in horoscopes, yeah.
It means duels or twins, doesn't it? Like Jekyll and Hyde.
No. Is this the evidence that you're threatening to unleash against me, Mr. Mallon?
Now, Mr. Henry testified that he saw you holding hands with Nathaniel Cater. Do you have any idea why he would come in here and lie about that?
Well, in the first place, he ain't see me holding hands with no man, mister. Because I done told you I don't hold hands with no man nowhere.
Why'd you do it then?
With the reward as high as it is in this case, I'd probably get out there and lie myself.
You ever threatened your father with violence?
No.
You never assaulted him, choked him?
As big as my daddy is, no.
He's impressing the jury. I know it. I can feel it. But I can't shake him, Louis.
You shake him? They don't call you blood mallet for nothing.
Well, I'm not getting much blood now.
Well, you'll do it. Just take your time, Jack. Keep him on the stand. I don't care if it takes days. I don't care if it takes a week. You know, this little man has got a high opinion of himself. He'll do everything to protect his own high estimate of himself. Ask him about those record deals. Ask him if he's really a pilot. Ask him if he considers himself a failure.
I'm just a little afraid he won't lose that damn composure of his. Instead of him cracking, I'm afraid I might crack.
Just do what I say. You'll see. He'll crack. And when he does, the jury will see that other side of him. The side they've been wondering about in this pudgy little boy with the thick glasses and the afro. The side that just might take little children by the throat, squeeze the life out of them, whether it's because he's homosexual or asexual or wanting to improve the race. They'll see Gemini. They'll see Jekyll and Hyde.
How do you think it went?
I think it went fine.
Wait, now you sound like you don't think it went fine.
No, you did very well.
But?
You were fine. You were articulate. You even had a sense of humor. But what's missing is...
What, man? What?
Well, I know if I were on that stand for my life, and they were concocting lies about me killing 29 people, I don't think I'd be able to have the composure you have, the coolness you have, indignation, anger. That's what's missing.
Well, what do you want me to do, huh?
Mallard is a cool one. He's after your juggler every minute.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody expects you to be a saint.
Look, I've been feeling a lot of things, man. Hey, I just didn't know whether or not I should express them.
Express them. I want him to see a real human being up there. I want him to see the real Wayne Williams.
Since graduating from high school, do you feel that you failed to receive that type of recognition that you earlier had in life?
A lot of people have gotten attention.
You felt because you had a radio station while you were still young, a teenager, that you were destined for great things?
Look, you got a profile on who you believe done these killings in Atlanta, and you are trying your best to make these folk think that I fit into that profile. And part of your profile's got to do with attention. Hey, well, hey, I'm not gonna sit here and aid you in doing that.
What else is in that profile?
You published it in the newspaper. Why don't you just pull your newspaper and read it?
Don't you feel that you need attention?
I just answered the question.
Isn't it true that you've been gaining publicity from the first day you became a suspect?
Yeah, it's true, but I didn't want it.
And why did you hold a press conference on June 4th? Now, isn't it true that at least you fit the profile of being a person who needs attention? Isn't it true that this was your center stage, that this was your challenge of a lifetime?
You must be a fool.
Isn't it true that you consider this whole thing a contest between you and the police?
No.
Mr. Williams, were you playing cat and mouse with the police?
Look, I don't have any intention of playing cat and mouse with anybody. You have harassed me, you have harassed my parents, my friends, and everybody else trying to put your little 2 bits worth of mess together.
In fact, in your news conference, you bragged about it, didn't you?
The point was, it was the sloppiest surveillance that there ever was. I mean, even a 2-year-old child could have made that.
You were proud of that, weren't you?
No, I wasn't. As a matter of fact, hey, it makes you all look stupid, not me.
In your news conference, you said, I made them probably in the first hour or 2. Did you say that?
I certainly did.
You were proud of that, weren't you?
No, I wasn't.
Do you remember the question asked you? You tend to laugh when you talk about the police. Do you remember that?
I sure did laugh at him.
Yes, sir. And you replied, I would say, if I had to make comparison, I would compare the FBI to the Keystone Cops and the Atlanta Police to Car 54. Where are you?
I sure did, and I will say it again today.
Now, there are witnesses who have testified that they've seen scratches on the top of your arms and your face.
Yeah, well, I challenge you to find those scratches.
My question is, did any of these victims scratch you while you were choking the life out of them?
No.
Isn't it true that while you were choking them to death with their last breath, they were scratching your arms?
No!
Did you experience any panic at any point
Doing
there?
what?
At any point during the time you were killing these victims?
Sir, I haven't killed anybody!
You killed them! Isn't that true?
I'm telling you what happened. I'm not lying about knowing any of these victims. I feel just as sorry for them and their families as anybody else in this world. I didn't want to see this happen. As a matter of fact, hey, I'm 23 years old. Who knows? I might have ended up one of those dead persons out there.
That's all. Thank you.
They calling me Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Sorry, Wayne.
Jekyll and Hyde.
It's not Al's fault. He didn't tell you to call Mallard a fool.
No, at first I was too cool. And nobody could be that cool.
The next time you have a client who's on trial for his life, Mr. Binder, don't tell him to show his real feelings.
Hey, Chad. Would you people kindly take your trays elsewhere, please?
What's the matter? We always have lunch with you.
Now that the trial is over, I can let some of my real feelings show through. I think it'll improve my indigestion.
Hey, there's no beef with us, Jack. We gave you plenty of space when you quit the force.
You gave me space because you thought it'd make a good story. I guess you thought this would make a good story, too, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Funny, I didn't see it like that. Maybe you and I went to 2 different trials.
What'd you see?
This young man was perfect for you from the beginning, wasn't he? Nobody can relate much to an oddball like Wayne Williams. He may very well be guilty, and then again, he may not. I'm saying I don't honestly know. I've been a cop for 18 years, and I've helped put people behind bars for the rest of their life, and I still don't know if they're guilty for sure. But you people never bother to entertain doubts like that, do you?
Come on, he's guilty as hell.
You're so sure of that?
Of course I am.
What was the motive? What was the motive, Jerry? Come on, you're so damn sure of yourself. What was it?
He found fame at 14. From then on, his life was downhill. He needed attention.
Downhill? He was 21 when the murder started. You trying to tell me his life was downhill at 21? What the hell were you doing at 21?
He was a homosexual. He used those kids.
Nobody ever proved he was a homosexual. And even if he was, and he did use them, why would he kill them?
No, I think it's just the opposite. I think he hated homosexuals, and he was punishing them because he was afraid of the homosexuality in himself.
He was washed up at 21. He was a homosexual. He hated homosexuals. He killed to improve his race. Boy, there's something there for everyone, isn't there?
What are you so angry about?
There were things to write about in this case. I mean, really important things. Like the lack of attention given to homicides of poor minority kids. Like the use of pattern. Like the use of the fibers and whether it really is substantial when there is no supporting evidence. Things that could affect the judicial system for years to come. But none of these things will be dealt with, will they? No. Because the rest of the world thinks you people know what the hell you're writing about. And that this was the case of the black, mad, homosexual killer with elements of the appeal of every prejudice, superstition, and hang-up in our contemporary society. I don't know whether you people are unimaginative, uninformed, or just plain stupid.
What a wild character. He's been involved so long with this case, he's finally gone off the deep end.
I don't know. I'm not very proud of the way we covered this case. Are you?
I told Wayne Williams to get on that witness stand, and it was his day in court, and to say it like it is. Now, Mr. Slayton don't like the way old Wayne talked to you. Blame me. Because I told Wayne Williams he is as good as anybody. Now, they are talking 12 murders and inferring 29, and what have they got to offer? Gossip, innuendo, sneers.
Your mama cooks for you, doesn't she?
As if something's wrong with that. You know all about the streets of Atlanta, don't you? Well, of course he does. He lives here. He was raised here. Haven't made much money yet, have you? I'm 23 years old and you're still living at home. Listen, folks. If that makes a man guilty of murder, then I'm guilty of murder because I lived with my mama and daddy till I was 25. The prosecution then said, well, we'll call him a homosexual. Prosecution takes a little blood every cut. And if you bleed a man enough, he soon dies. But there was no evidence he was a homosexual. They then stated he was a bigot and wanted to improve the race by killing black children. Ladies and gentlemen, if he's that insane, he belongs in an insane asylum, not in a courtroom. But that isn't all of it. Oh, no. They would have you believe that he has supernatural strength. Enough to pick up a body which is dead weight, lift it over a rail completely, without leaving any skin whatsoever, and without the body showing any evidence of any scrapes or scratches on it from that rail. They tell you that this boy performed a great feat of strength. This pudgy, fat little boy
And I'm calling you boy because you're about the same age as my son. Get up. Get up! Go over there to that jury. If you think this is strength, put out your hand. Let them feel them. Feel his hands. Go ahead, feel the palms. But look at them. Touch them. Look at him. There is no muscle there. If you don't believe it, touch him. And he's not sinister either. Do you realize that not one mother of any deceased child has testified against this defendant? Do you realize that Mrs. Payne has not testified against this defendant? She didn't even know Wayne. You keep hearing again and again that Wayne Williams must be guilty because the murders have stopped. But are you sure the murders have stopped? We have requested the full facts, but we have been denied the full facts. We know that little black girls are still being murdered. Men of Mr. Payne and Mr. Cater's age are still being murdered. The last black male child on the task force list was reported missing 3 months before Wayne Williams was arrested or became a suspect. Adults like Payne and Cater, who were 21 and 28 years old, were killed after that. Those are the only murders Wayne Williams is being tried for in this courtroom, yet the world thinks that he is being charged with child murders. Think about it, if you will. That's the tragedy, and that's the facts. Now you will make your decision. But when you do, remember the song when the man called out who had done no wrong. Who protects the weak and the helpless from those who would attack them? These evil men accuse me of things that I've never even heard about. Who but you jurors can help keep Wayne Williams from things he's never even heard about?
I told you from the beginning that this case was not going to be presented for the gallery, but for you, the chosen citizens of our community. It was sort of like we were making you investigators, where you could see the evidence pile up in a logical order and make your own mind up. Let's look at this defendant here. First day on cross-examination, he was an intelligent, calm, cool, deliberate witness. Then what happened on the second morning? He was a completely different person. He showed a contempt for everyone. He showed a rage and explosion within him to do battle with his interrogator. He let the curtain down on the second day. I knew sooner or later that you would see that other personality come out. A Jekyll and Hyde. The last killing done by the defendant on trial, Wayne Williams, was May 21st, 1981. There have been no murders in June or July, August, or September, October, November, December, or January or February of this year. None. Why? We've been with him. Either we've had him under surveillance, he's been in custody, that's why. I won't tell you some of the names of the witnesses that would have to have lied in this case. The defendant said they did. Freddie Jacobs had to lie. Campbell had to lie. Gilliland had to lie. Margaret Carter, Bobby Tolan, Robert Henry, Sharon Blakely, Sheldon Kemp, and well, this goes on and on. Well, some of us don't think they all lied. There's no evidence of any witness applying for any reward in this case. No, they haven't come forward. We've had to go out and find them. I suppose you could say that the mother and father would lie for their son. Well, I'm not sure that Mr. and Mrs. Williams aren't scared to death of him. I think they'd do anything he said do. 14 years old, whatever he was at the time, center of attention, then bankruptcy. Everybody said how smart he was. Gifted at an early age, and then he couldn't duplicate it. And the people he's killing and he has killed, they're not any more successful than he is, and they haven't had a chance in the world. But the FBI he compares to the Keystone Cops. And the Atlanta police to Car 54, where are you? He wants to outwit them. It took a stupid person to drop Cater's body from James Jackson Parkway. Just 'cause he cased it and see anybody, 'cause we had them hid. Call 54, Keystone Cops got him. He's failed again. Failed again. But the Atlanta police force, they took heed for months. They kept on doing their job the way the good policemen do their job. Steady. And things come out. I want to suggest to you, when you start thinking about sympathy in a case like this, that it's time that someone starts thinking about these poor victims buried as a result of the same psychopathic killer. Wayne Williams is not in the community now. You will be responsible for putting Wayne Williams back in the community. It won't be us. It's going to have to be you. What were his words? Doing away with one black male child, doing away with inferiors. Attila the Hun, Adolf Hitler, Idi Amin from Uganda, and Wayne Bertram Williams. Master race, doing away with inferiors. Ladies and gentlemen, all of us, the defense, prosecution, the court, appreciate you. I know all of you. I'm going to see you. We're going to talk about this case. And we're both going to say that we met our responsibility. Thank you.
Hello? All right, I'll tell them.
What?
They've reached a verdict.
So soon?
What do you think it means?
It means acquittal.
Whenever you reach a verdict this quickly, a complicated case like this, usually acquittal. I'm concerned about what we're going to do with Wayne.
Well, we take him through the basement. I have the department alerted. I can get him out of here all right, but where he goes from there, I don't know.
I can have your men. I'll take him on the plane when they're back to Mississippi. He can stay at my house till things cool down.
Well, as soon as they come in with that verdict, I want to get him out of the courtroom as quick as I can.
It's all in your hands. We'll do everything we can to cooperate.
If I can help, let me know.
They're coming in.
Let's go. foreperson of the jury please stand? Has the jury reached a verdict on each of the 2 counts?
We have, Your Honor.
You please examine the verdict to make sure that it has been signed and dated.
Yes, it has.
Mr. District Attorney, will you receive the verdict?
Yes, sir.
Will you return to the podium and publish the verdict in open court?
Your Honor, the verdict from the jury. We, the jury, find the defendant, Wayne Bertram Williams, guilty on count number 1. We, the jury, find the defendant, Wayne Bertram Williams, guilty on count number 2. Would you like to examine the verdict, Mr. Binder?
Yes.
Mr. Williams, will you stand in front of the podium and face the court? Mr. Binder is welcome. Mr. Kitchens. I want the defendant's father, Mr. Homer Williams, to come forward and stand with his son. Mr. Williams, do you wish to say anything?
Judge, Your Honor, jurors, other people, anybody who'd been in this court for the last 9 weeks can see that nobody has brought any evidence to prove that my son is guilty. I think it's very unfair, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Wayne Williams, do you wish to say anything before the court imposes the sentence?
Yes, Your Honor. I maintained all along through this trial my innocence. And I will say so again today. I don't have any malice against any of the people on the jury, the court, the prosecutors, or anybody. The only thing, Your Honor, is I just hope that the person or persons who had committed these crimes can be brought to justice. And I'm saying I did not do this, Your Honor, and I want it to be known, and that is from my heart. I, more than anyone, want to see this terror ended, but I did not do it, Your Honor.
Thank you. The court hereby sentences the defendant, Mr. Wayne Bertram Williams, to the custody of the State Board of Corrections, where he is to serve 2 life sentences, and they are to run consecutively. Court's adjourned.
Louis Slayton. You know my son is innocent. You know it. You've gone through the evidence. You know that some of them people lied. You did one hell of a railroad job. You know it, and I know it. You dirty bastard.
Come on, Homer, let's go.
It's unjust. And I'll tell it anywhere in the world.
One question, please.
Well, this is the greatest fiber case in courtroom history. We hope that the Williams trial will serve as an indicator to the value of trace evidence. People in law trying criminal cases will give weight and value to fibers from this day on.
What about you, Mr. Slayton? What do you have to say?
Let me get my men over here with me. Jack Mallard, Jolie, Gordon Miller. We did our job. The prosecution, the staff, the defense, the judge. We all did the best we could. That's all I can say right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Al, you did a good job.
Not good enough. I didn't get him off.
You know, Al, this is the first case I ever tried where I didn't know the where, the when, the why, or even the how.
Reverend Attaway, what is your opinion of the verdict?
We must be careful not to set ourselves up as all-knowing, as God, speak what we do not know. Truth is an elusive entity. We must put this behind us.
Thank you, Reverend Attaway. Miss Taylor, what do you have to say?
I think he's guilty, but they haven't proved it.
You, sir, could you give us a few words?
Do you know what it means not to know? Do you know what it's like to feel that there is no justice in this world?
Maybe when we have a trial for my child's murder, we'll find out the truth.
Don't say anything to them. Whatever you say, they'll just twist it the way they want it to go.
They don't care about us. All they care about is whatever people will pay a quarter for.
Wayne Williams wasn't alone on trial in this courthouse today. Atlanta was. The city, too busy to hate, was charged with hating so much it would stand by while its children were being murdered. Let the record show that this city, this beautiful, marvelous city I love, stood trial before the world and was found not guilty. The important thing is that we came through this whole trying thing as a community together.
I have called you in this morning to announce the disbanding of the task force.
But there are still 21 cases for which no one has been officially charged.
With the conviction of Wayne Williams, they have been cleared.
Are you planning to indict Mr. Williams for the deaths of the other people on the task force list, Mr. Slayton?
We have cases here that we do not have enough evidence to convict, but we have sufficient evidence to mark them closed.
I don't quite follow that, Mr. Slayton.
What I'm saying is, there's no point in putting the city through the expense and pain of another trial.
Our children's lives ain't worth a trial. Is that what they saying?
Only been 48 hours since the verdict was in, and already they've closed the books on all our murdered children.
Always before, I was looking for some kind of justice. But justice is not in their hearts to give.
Does this mean that the real person that killed our children can now go free? And we can't do a damn thing about it?
This town has buried us along with our children. They dead and buried, and we dead and buried, and we ain't supposed to be heard from again.
There ain't no way we're gonna sit still and let our children's murders go unsolved, you hear me? We're going to protest. And we're going to get justice from somewhere. If we don't get it from Georgia.
Case is set that you asked for the files on the child murders.
That's right.
Then, a jury of 12 people found that he was guilty. That's all we got, the jury system. The case is closed.
Slayton says there's no point in putting the city through the pain and expense of another trial. What about the parents? How would you feel if it were your kids? Would you be able to sleep nights?
You're going to destroy yourself, Ben. I tried to tell you that, but you won't believe me.
Jake. Do you remember the march we took from Selma to Montgomery with Dr. King? Do you remember what we were thinking? What we talked about? What was the most important thing? Wasn't it the kids to come? Wasn't that the most important thing? That we were going to spare them the pain we had? We were going to give them a better world? Or what kind of life have we made for them? You can have my badge, Jake.
This case won't be closed for me until I open a door that says once and for all Wayne Williams was guilty, or he was a sacrificial lamb on the altar of the good name of Atlanta.
Go on, make your investigation. I don't know anything about it.
There they were in front of me. The faces I had seen in those snapshots before they were found dead. The faces of all those children whose murders aren't worth a trial.
In February of 1982, Wayne Williams was convicted for the murders of Jimmy Ray Payne and Nathaniel Cater. In December of 1983, the Georgia Supreme Court denied the appeal for a new trial. In March of 1982, the task force investigating the deaths of 28 children and the disappearance of one other was officially disbanded. To date, these cases remain unsolved.